The New York Giants defense are coming back bigger and better going into the 2021 season after having a spectacular Patrick Graham debut with that 2020 defense, and we're only expecting this defense to get a lot better. We've lost one really good player, but we've gained a bunch of them. This season, the big focal point on defense is going to be the pass rush. Although we were able to have a decent pass rush last season, it was still lackluster. We still had a lot of injuries. Now these guys are coming back. We've added more pieces, and we're expecting this defense to be just a little bit better in the pass rush department. But how much better will they be because of these players? We're going to dive into a specific player in this video who I'm very excited about. Let's get right into it. Before we start this video, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. And if you guys are liking the more NFL-centric stuff on my channel, make sure you guys show some support on that, as well as I'm trying to expand the channel out just a little bit and not just be a Giants centralized channel. So that being said, let's get started. We're going to be talking about Elerson Smith today. Now, this topic came up a couple of days ago on the Young Guns podcast. We were doing some call-ins. I was late, so Kush had some call-ins going on, and the topic of Elerson Smith came up, and I thought it was a really fascinating topic, obviously, because I really liked Elerson Smith. I thought he was a sleeper going into the draft, and I kind of forgot about him, to be honest, throughout this summer. But ever since that topic came back up again, I'm really liking Elerson Smith and how much of a wild card he is for this football team. Now, we all like to talk about Azeez Ojulari, and I'm not taking anything away from Ojulari. I think he's going to be a day one starter. I think he's probably going to be the best pass rusher on the team as a rookie, which I guess you could say is kind of sad, but I guess you could say is really well as well. We have our two presumed starters coming back in O'Shane Ximines and Lorenzo Carter, who was coming off a very promising season until he got hurt. Both those guys suffered season-ending injuries, so it only leaves the door open for a guy like Azeez and for a guy like Elerson Smith to get some reps. But like I said, I wanted to focus on Elerson Smith in this video. I feel like he's more of a guy that's in the background when we talk about draft picks. We talk about, our first round draft pick and, that absolute weapon in Kadarius Toney and the player that he is, and then Azeez Ojulari, who should have been a first round pick, who we stole in the second round, and then Aaron Robinson, who has some really good highlight tape as well. But it just seems like everybody's forgetting about Elerson Smith, and I don't really blame them, being of the fact that a lot of people really don't know who this player was. I'll be honest with you, did not know who Elerson Smith was before the draft, and he's coming from a smaller school. He also did not play in 2020, so it's not like we could have heard about this guy last year, because he did not play because the FCS did not have any games. Well, as far as his team, I don't know the specifics on that, but his team did not play in 2020, so he was not able to play. Quick little fun fact, he was actually going to declare for the 2020 NFL draft, but that got cut short because he felt like he wanted to improve his resume a little bit. He had the statistics. Sorry, it's been a while since I made a video. He had the stats to go ahead and make a somewhat of a good resume for that 2020 NFL draft and try to get drafted there. But he felt like his frame was too small. He felt like he could have gotten a lot better, so that's why he stood, gained some weight, and tried to gain some power and try to gain some more momentum going into whatever draft he was going to be going into. And unfortunately, it didn't work out in his favor too much, because his 2020 season didn't even start, and it wasn't even cut short. It didn't even start. But that does not mean he did not improve. Okay, Elerson Smith last played around 220 pounds, if that, maybe 215, 220, extremely undersized player, but he's standing at a very tall, very lanky 6'7". Okay, he started college at 190 pounds. He started college in his redshirt freshman year at 190 pounds. Since then, which I think is around since 2016, since then, he is now at 262 pounds. This is probably one of the biggest glow-ups I've seen in a football player as far as added weight goes to play a position like the edge rusher position that I've ever seen. Okay, I don't know what his specific weight was going into that 2019 season when he last played, but he was at least probably 215, 220, maybe pushing 225. This guy is sitting at 262 pounds now. That is ridiculous. He has no worries about him being undersized. Obviously, he's 6'7". He's good in the height department. It was the weight, it was the body structure that was lacking for him. Now he's ripped. Now he's muscular. Now he's bigger. He's more toned. All right. So Elerson Smith is no longer lacking in that department. Now he is of size and weight to play the NFL position of pass rusher, whether that be an edge rusher, defensive end, linebacker, it doesn't matter. He is now not lacking in that, so there's no excuse there. All right, his statistics spoke for themselves back in his career. Let's go into his stats at UNI. So his most recent season with Northern Iowa, he started 15 out of 15 games and had 28 tackles, 35 assisted tackles, total for 63 tackles, 14 sacks. 14 sacks. Now, that's all it's showing me right now. It doesn't show any tackles for loss or anything like that. For some reason, he's not on College Football Reference. He's not on that on there, so he's not getting any love there. So he's not even known by statistic keepers for college football. But his tape is absolutely insane. It's obvious he was a man in a little boys league. Okay. Of course, his tape looks a lot better being of the competition he was playing against. But if you look at certain tape that, certain players he was playing against, you look at Dylan Radins, right? If you look at his tape against them, he looked pretty good against Dylan Radins, who was drafted, second, third round maybe? So he has some good film. He has a lot of good film, and obviously he was playing in a lot lesser of a competition than he should have been in. He probably should have been in Division I FBS Power 5 football, right? He probably should have been there, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So it's hard to really predict how good of a player he is and how well he translates to an NFL field against NFL tackles, but you can only look at the film that you're given, and he was an absolute monster. Now, a little bit about Elerson Smith. He's like I said, a very lanky edge rusher. He's not super fast, but not slow, and he's not super strong, but not weak either. He's kind of just in the middle there, and that's why he needed to gain a lot more weight and just more power in general, because that can translate to speed as well. You never know. But gaining all that weight, we don't know how well he's going to play, because if you look at his film, he did lack some speed, he did lack some power, he did lack some strength, and even some pass rushing moves. He looked pretty much very novice in pass rushing moves. He had a decent swipe move. He had a decent speed rush. All right, but he needs to get more of an arsenal there with his hands. But it's been 2 years, so we don't know what he's been working on. And that's why he's an absolute wild card. That's the whole point of this video. You can look at what you're seeing on film, but he could be a totally different player than he was back in 2019. Even he probably doesn't even know the player he can become or the player he is at this point, because he's never played at 262 before. It's been 2 years since he stepped on the NFL field. Yes, he played in the Senior Bowl. That's not a real game, okay? It's all pretty much practice, all pretty much just a little bit to show some scouts some things of what you can do, but it's not really a good representation of what you provide to an NFL team or what you can do on a football field. Now, some things that he does lack in as well is keeping with the rush, right? Yes, he has a decent motor, but it seems like when his hands are inside, when the tackles get their hands on the inside of his collarbones, it seems like when he can't move, he just can't move. He's not able to create separation. He's not able to get those arms off of him. He kind of just stands there in place. He's not able to get any leverage, because he's so tall, so he's not able to get underneath the tackle and kind of push with his weight, because he's so tall. He's not able to get that low. All right, so that's a little bit of a bad thing with these taller defensive ends, is that if they're stopped in their tracks and if they're faced up the whole time and they're not able to bend and get down and really dig into the tackle and try to get a rush in, they're pretty much not going anywhere. They're not going to be moved. Okay, so because the tackle has the advantage, anchored down and kind of more tilted up against the taller pass rusher. So that being said, that's something he does struggle at, but we don't know. We just don't know As far as where he lines up in the depth chart, Elerson Smith is going to be far down on the depth chart. You shouldn't just give somebody, the reins at whatever second string, linebacker, second string outside linebacker when he hasn't played a snap in 2 years, okay? Or just because he was drafted in the 4th round, all right? He's going to be behind a lot of these guys. You guys remember the late round draft picks last season with Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin. Now, Cam Brown is always being moved. I don't know if he's going to be playing inside linebacker, if he's going to stay at outside linebacker, because he was an inside linebacker. He was an off-ball linebacker at Penn State. Got switched to edge rusher, and actually wasn't too bad there. He was kind of like a tweener guy, right? Kind of like a speed rusher guy off the edge. And so was Carter Coughlin. Those are the guys that I think Elerson Smith will have to beat, obviously, to get up on the depth chart and even on the roster. And then you've got guys like Ifedi Odenigbo, who's going to be moved around a lot of different areas, but I think he's going to be more of an outside linebacker type guy in most of the packages he's in. And then obviously you got the guys who are trying to make their mark in the NFL as well in Lorenzo Carter and O'Shane Ximines. And don't forget about Azeez Ojulari as well, who's probably going to be the star there. But as far as he has a lot of competition. He's going to have to work his way up there. But in my honest opinion, by the end of preseason, we'll see how he progresses in preseason. But by the end of preseason, I fully expect Elerson Smith to be above Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown. There shouldn't be a discussion there, in my honest opinion. But we'll see what happens with that situation. I really expect Elerson Smith to at least get some playing time and show some flashes this season. I don't know if he's going to be automatically a duo with Azeez Ojulari, and they're just going to take over those 2 spots and be successful there and be the future there at edge rusher for the New York Giants. But I do expect Elerson Smith to play. I do expect to show some flashes. He's going to struggle at some times. Like I said, he doesn't even know what he's capable of yet, in my honest opinion. So listen, I can't really give you guys a stat prediction. He's a wild card. He can be really good or he can be a complete bust. You guys take the information how you guys want to. Some people say he'll be really bad. Some people say he'll be really good because of the situations that I mentioned earlier. So that being said, I'll leave it up for interpretation. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I'll see you guys in the next video.